Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. It is the middle of the night and my mind is going in all kinds of different places. So I thought I would pop on and do a little video. I want to talk today a little bit about something that I seem to talk an awful lot of, but it's a slightly different flavor because I am triggered in a good way, because triggers always are opportunities to take introspection and to look within. And I was triggered because of what the energy is like, but also because a friend of mine who I love dearly is going through her own awakening and is in very depressed energy lately. And she was explaining to me how, the fact that she's not happy is making her more depressed. Like, the depression's not bad enough. We also have to beat ourselves up for being depressed. So the stigma attached to certain emotions, to certain undesirable emotions. If we're not in happiness, then we're failing. And I have talked in a lot of videos about feeling your feelings, and I have an emotions playlist. Do check that out, because we need to re-evaluate how we define emotions. As it stands in society, it's a very polarized, dualistic approach to looking at emotions. So we have these emotions over here, peace, love, and harmony, and they're positive emotions. So we've labeled them with the term positive. And then these emotions over here, depression, anxiety, and anger, and those are negative emotions. So we've split them into two categories. We've split them into light and dark. But that's not what emotions are. Emotions are much more like a spectrum of light. So visualize a rainbow. And you wouldn't qualify the red spectrum of a rainbow as being negative and the ultraviolet spectrum of the rainbow as being positive. No, because it's all one thing. It's all one spectrum. And we would go, oh, look at the beautiful rainbow. But we don't do that with emotions. We separate them into separate camps. And we need to put them back into the one camp and realize that they're all one thing. And it doesn't matter which end of the spectrum that you are sitting in at any particular moment. That is the human experience, is to experience emotions. All of them. We are sent down here to experience life. And in experiencing life, we have feelings, we sensate. And so if you are experiencing depression, apathy, all of these, understand that that is part of your experience here to experience. We actually have to experience it. We actually have to feel it. And when we give ourselves the time to sit with it and feel it, that's when it actually processes through. It's like the longer we repress or deny these feelings, the longer they will persist, because we don't actually do anything with them. Instead, we spend our lives seeking this elusive, I only want to be over here on this side. I don't want to be in these emotions. If I'm in these emotions, I'm failing somehow. Because it's only, look at the world, it's only good if we're in these good emotions. I'm going to do my Instagram photo and look how happy I am, and I'm going to post my wedding photos, and I'm going to post my happy vacations, and I'm going to post all my good shit. We don't see people posting bad shit unless they're mean and crazy. People don't put, look, I'm having the worst day ever today. Oh, good for you. Yay. Like that. That's just, but we need to stop stigmatizing and stop separating the emotions into two camps and start recognizing that all emotions have value and all emotions have purpose. But because we've been constantly saying that we need to be in high vibe or positive energy, positive emotions, then what we do is when we are in these lower ones, we think there's something wrong with us. We think that there is a problem. I'm depressed. I better go to a doctor and get that checked out. Depression isn't cancer. Depression is an emotion that's trying to communicate to you. And you go to a doctor and they pathologize your depression and they say that there's something, wrong with you. And here, take this med to numb that depression. So you actually still haven't felt the emotion. Now we're just repressing it through pharmaceuticals. And if we're having anxiety, same thing. Oh, there's something wrong with you. We need to numb that down with these different pharmaceuticals. Or maybe we're self-medicating and, I'm not happy. I'm going to have a shot of tequila. Well, that always used to make me a little bit happier. Or, oh, I'm feeling anxious, I'm going to have a cigarette. Or, oh, I'm feeling nervous, I'm going to eat some pizza. Oh, I'm feeling, rage and anger, I'm going to go do some gambling. Oh, I'm going, and so you see how this all goes, okay? So the root of all addiction is trauma, but in between the trauma and the addiction is emotion that hasn't been felt, that hasn't had an opportunity to express itself. So let's just take depression for a second. And I was labeled with manic depressive disorder from the time I was about 22-ish. I don't know, in my young 20s is the first round of antidepressants that I went on. And at no point did somebody say, what is your environment? What's going on? At no point did anybody say, let's get to the root cause of this and figure out if we can process through this. At no point did anybody actually ever teach me how to feel. I was, as a child, taught how to not feel. That feeling would have gotten me punished. And so I didn't want to feel. So even as a young child, I learned to mask. Even now in the awareness of being autistic, masking became a regular part of my life. And so, of course I was depressed. It would be illogical to be anything other than depressed. I was raised I was adopted and then raised in a narcissistic environment where I had undiagnosed autism and then went through life masking because I was terrified of being bullied, which presented itself numerous of times in my life. I had some seriously horrid events that occurred in my life, all of these resulting in complex post-traumatic stress disorder. But let's not label me with correct diagnoses. Let's just call it, you're experiencing an emotion that's too large and therefore you're disordered. And here, take these pharmaceuticals. And all the pharmaceuticals did throughout my life was help me tolerate things I should never have tolerated. So if I had understood that every single emotion is trying to communicate that an action is required, that is what emotions are trying to say to us. So if you're depressed, look around and say, what is this environment I'm in? And, maybe that's my environment that is making me depressed. Maybe I need to leave. If this job is causing me anxiety, maybe I don't have an anxiety problem. Maybe the problem is the job. Maybe the problem is your marriage. Maybe the problem is something like that's right obvious in front of you. But instead, because we see ourselves as having these big emotions that are over here on this side of the spectrum that are unpleasant, we don't understand how emotions work. We don't understand the role of emotions. And then that's exacerbated even more because, we'll say to a friend or we'll talk to people or post on social media if you're a cuckoo like me and say, oh, I'm sitting in anxiety today, or today I'm sitting in self-doubt, or whatever you share with somebody, and they say, oh, well, don't wallow in it. Don't sit there for too long. You better let that go. You better move on. All of these undermining you, and again, putting a sense of shame onto you, like you're doing something wrong because you're experiencing these emotions, instead of saying, go warrior, sit in that anxiety, sit in that depression, sit in that rage. You can do it. Yeah, go for it. There's this idea that you better get through it really quickly. You better process through that. If you're not processing through it quick enough, there's going to be consequences. Well, what are those consequences? And what are the timelines? How long is somebody allowed to sit in grief? Are there timelines? And where do these timelines come from? Do you know where they come from? They come from people who don't sit in their emotions. That's where they come from. You can only hold space for somebody if you have held space for yourself. I'm particularly good at holding space for people in whatever emotion they're in now. I don't get triggered by it. I don't get triggered or upset by somebody else's rage. If somebody says, I'm experiencing so much rage, I'm like, oh, well, you better shut that down. People who try to shut you down and shut the emotion down and minimize and gaslight and anything else, the reason why they do that is because they've not sat in that emotion themselves. And you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that they're doing to repress, deny, numb their own emotional centers? If my emotions are making somebody else uncomfortable, that's a them problem. That's not a me problem. I've been sitting in my emotions throughout my awakening and appreciate each flavor as it comes, each nuanced variety of slightly different flavor of grief, or slightly different flavor of even anguish, terror, fear. I've been in them all, and I've held space for myself through them all. For the last 3 years has been insanely intense on this Kundalini awakening. And if we're awakening, if society as a whole is awakening, and we don't embrace or accept that we have to feel all those feelings that we haven't felt because we've been too busy putting on our Instagram faces and our smiliness and I'm high vibes and everything's okay and I'm not going to pay attention to this and I'm going to repress that and I'm just going to pretend everything's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Everything's great. That's not authentic. It's not real, and it's not healthy. The only way that we will ascend is to go through the entire spectrum of emotions. Go through the red level of emotions of depression and despondency and apathy and go through the orange emotions of nervousness and social anxiety and how do I interact with people and I don't know, and go through the yellow solar plexus of anger and rage and that shouldn't have happened to me. I'm angry about it. And I am angry about things now. Am I overtaken by anger? No. I'm not overtaken. None of my emotions are overtaking me as much as they used to do. In like, sometimes in dark night, it's just like you're like swallowed whole by a giant emotion and it just takes you away. But now I can be like, I am angry. I'm not full of rage, but I am angry. I'm angry that I had all of these things working against me through my whole life, and I describe it as like having undiagnosed autism hanging off my left foot with a weight behind it, and having, all my traumas hanging off me, weighted me down and blindfolded, and, a weight of stigma and this, that, and the other. Like, and then told, okay, now run, go be happy. Go be happy, go be successful. And I'm like, that's so not fair. It's so not fair. I'm catching up now at age 51, about to turn age 52. And finally freeing myself from all of these weights and things that have held me back. How the hell was I supposed to be happy? How the hell was I supposed to succeed with all this stuff hanging off me that nobody was addressing and nobody was looking, and there was no authenticity? It was all these problems. We're not going to identify the root cause of the problems. We're going to misdiagnose the problems. We're going to put on pharmaceuticals to numb you from dealing with the problems. You're going to self-medicate because that's what you do in society, is you pretend everything's okay and just yay, instead of dealing with any of the problems. No, you got to excavate out all of this stuff and free yourself from all these labels and understand, oh, this is why I do what I do, and this is why that is the way that it is. And, maybe I'm not happy about what happened to me in life, and I'm going to sit in that until I process through it. It takes time. It takes time. I'm getting really frustrated with people telling me that, like, my awakening should be going faster or something like that because I'm not happy. No, I'm not happy. What I am is a lot healthier than what I was. What I am is processing through something every single day. Some days are good, some days are bad. And this is where I am. I'm not going to keep trying to chase after an elusive, only be in the violet ray of happiness. I have to go through all of them, go into the harmony of the heart and the peace of the heart and the authenticity and feeling. I'll get there eventually. Or I won't. I'll be wherever I am. I'll be in whatever emotion I'm in. And I want you to be in whatever emotion you are and not see low emotions. And I don't even like to use the word low, but, low energy emotions. Don't see them as you're doing something wrong or you're failing. See it as you're doing warrior work and you're succeeding. If this is the energy that God wants me to be in today, I'm going to be in this energy fully. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to repress it. I'm not going to beat myself up and think I'm a failure because I'm not in a different energy. If I'm in fear, if I'm in anxiety, if I'm in anger, I'm just going to be in it. Just be in it. Be in whatever emotion that you're in. If you need help with your emotions and you would like me to hold space for you in your emotions and you want to book a one-on-one so you can have somebody to talk to that's not going to tell you that there's something wrong with you because you're depressed, feel free to set up a one-on-one with me and let's work through that depression and let's work through these emotions and not see them as bad things, but see them as visitors that are coming to have a conversation with us so that we can heal. They are there to be listened to. We gotta stop that we got to stop it. We got to stop this nonsense of high vibes only and only ever being in positive energy. That's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. It's that type of ideology that will make you sick. Look how sick I was. I'm not sick anymore because I feel my feelings now. And I think you should too. Peace out.